G'day guys, and welcome to another cracking edition of Investing in the US, an Aussie's guide to US real estate. The number one podcast geared towards helping investors and entrepreneurs break into the US market. From Los Angeles, I'm your host, Reed Goosens. Good as always to have you with us on the show. Now, as you know, it's my job to explore, dissect, and interview the cream of the crop when it comes to real estate, business, and entrepreneurs here in the United States, so you can all make the right investing decisions to create massive amounts of cash flow, long-term wealth, and financial freedom. If you do like this show, please give us a review on iTunes, and you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter by searching Reed Goosens. One last thing before we dive into today's show, you can find us on whatever platform you listen to your podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. But we're now also showing these episodes on my YouTube channel. So head over to reedgoosens.com, click on the video link, and we'll take you right to the recordings and of the podcast so you can see our ugly mugs. Enough out of me. Let's get cracking and into today's show. So today on the show, I have the pleasure of speaking with Tim Rhode. Tim is the creative force behind OneLifeFullyLived.org and is a rare individual who walks the walk of what he teaches. He created One Life Fully Lived to change the lives of millions of people across the planet by offering a hand up instead of a handout by educating on financial literacy through investing in real estate. His message is resonating with so many people in all walks of life and is growing in leaps and bounds. As people hear about it, they spread the message of empowerment and teaching the concepts to lift up more people and build more leaders. So without further ado, let's get him out here. G'day, Tim. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Reed. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Mate, before we dive into the nuts and bolts of today's show, I'd love to throw a little bit of a doozy question at people. And the doozy question is, who is Tim Rhode?
Oh, wow. That is a doozy. Well, I'm not a very complicated individual. I'm a pretty simple guy. My life's centered around four things. One, my wonderful family, my wife, Tina, and my three kids, what I call getting the goods in the woods, and that's how I stay healthy and vibrant. Investing in real estate and other vehicles to create passive income for myself, and our charity, One Life Fully Lived, giving back to others and helping make the world a better place through One Life and our other business, GoBundance.
I love it. I love the four major things, and you're very clear on what those major things are that makes you tick, which is really, really important. And we'll dive into that in a little bit. But I want to rewind the clock back a little bit from how you made your first dollar before you got to where you are today. Tim Rhodes, rewind us all back. Take us back to that first time you thought, I need to get out there and make some money. And why? And what was it?
Well, actually, I was pretty young. I was like 7 years old, and I loved to make money. I don't know why, but I saw in a comic book, I believe it was Archie Comics with Veronica and Betty. And they had greeting cards at the back of the comic book, and I bought some samples and went door to door selling greeting cards and sold to real estate offices and stuff like that. 7 years old. I'd also go to bars and climb in their dumpster and throw out beer cans and go. My mom would drop me off at the dump, and I'd come home with a bag full of cans. And I always liked to make money, but I've never been a big consumer or one that likes to spend. So I started off, pretty young as an entrepreneur, but it took a while till things clicked for me.
Right. And then let's talk about that. Well, before we get into that, 7 years old, that's bloody young to start making money. Was it just because you wanted some extra spending money? Like typically we all want it, like we're young, we don't know what we're doing, and we have that toddler brain, right? It's like, I'm just going to go start making money and I'm going to sell whatever the hell it is that I'm going to sell because I need it to buy my best Nike shoes or that comic book or whatever it was. Did you have any?
I remember buying my own black and white TV. I think I was 9. But no, I never wanted anything. Look at my jewelry. I mean, I've just never had a want for the crap that Madison Avenue tells us you need.
Sure.
But I also shoveled snow. I mowed lawns. I just like to earn. I wish I knew about investing that young. But
well, kudos to your parents, because I know people. I picked up tried to get my first job at the age of like 12, trying to, make money or whatever I was trying to do. But, people who don't try and empower kids to go out and get a job these days, I think is, you're not doing them a favor by feeding them a silver spoon. So, but that's for another topic. But mate, talk us a little bit about your journey. I know that you've had a bit of a checkered past, dropping out of high school, and I will let you explain a little bit more about that. But now let's talk about from 7 years old leading up to breaking in and creating One Life Fully Lived, and the entrepreneur who you are today.
So I got off to a late start. My parents split up when I was around 12 years old, and it really had a big effect on me. My mom moved to the Bay Area. My dad I live up near Lake Tahoe in a little rural town called Portola. And so it just kind of threw me for a curve. And in my teen years, boy, I was a screw up. I'll just flat out say it. I didn't pay any attention in high school. I did graduate from high school barely. Never went to college. At 25, I'm a part-time grocery clerk painting addresses on people's curbs to buy diapers for my 3-year-old and 1-year-old kid. And then I got my real estate license, and people come through my grocery line, and I'd talk real estate with them and refer deals to other people. And I started thinking, boy, why don't you do this yourself? So I got into real estate. I did really well from the start, and I had a really good career. I sold real estate from 25 till when I was 40. And I was able to retire financially free at 40. And read what I did different, and I hope your listeners get this. This is if you get nothing else out of Tim Rhodes' interview, it's two words, two thoughts. One, master your ABCs. And A is income coming in from all sources. B, and this is the part that most people miss, what does it cost me to live? Including taxes, including vacations. What am I spending? Where is my leakage? And C, what's left for debt reduction for most, or investing for those like us who listen to these kinds of podcasts. So it's about mastering your ABCs. And the second thought to that is defense wins championships. And what I mean, and that's a quote by a football coach, Vince Lombardi. And what I took that to mean, defense is knowing the ABCs, knowing what's coming in, knowing what's going out, knowing what's left to invest, and concentrating on that. How can I increase the income? How can I monitor what's going out? And how can I learn all I can about investing to where I can create passive income to where I get to choose what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Incredible. Going from painting addresses and buying diapers for your kids and hustling in the checkout line, right? And hustling people as they get out. Hey, you want to buy a house? Want to buy a house? To create audience. They can't go anywhere, right? They got to get their groceries, but they've already got to. So, but that's going to lead me, and I want to talk about the ABCs in a bit, but what I really want to talk about before we dive into that is the mission statement and the sort of the why behind why you started a life well lived, and talk to me a little bit about your mission and the burning desire to educate and become financially literate. And I'm sure for yourself that it wasn't just you just stumbled into financial literacy. I'm sure over the time of between your 25 to 40, that evolved or that developed. So talk to a little bit about that first, and then we'll dive into your ABCs.
That's brilliant, Reed. You caught the essence of what took me from here to here, and that is knowledge. Right. I never paid attention in high school. I never took a book home my whole time. I never studied at all. I couldn't figure out why I needed to know the periodic tables and reticulums. Just didn't, just stuff that had nothing to do with where I was going. But so once I started selling real estate, once I started getting into what really matters, I would figure around $200,000 on my continuing education.
Wow.
Books, tapes, seminars. Tony Robbins Life Mastery, Jim Rohn, lot of like for selling real estate, Mike Ferry, Howard Brinton, for investing, going to different conferences and stuff. I wanted to master, mindset and financial knowledge to where someday I'd have the choices with what to do with my life. And I go back, 25 years old, 30 years old, 35 years old. I was, you can tell, beyond driven. I was freaking obsessed with getting somewhere. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate to this. I never knew why. And then I look up at 40 years old and I'm in Belize scuba diving and I'm a millionaire. And I have more financial income coming in from passive than what it costs me to live. And I realized I could retire theoretically today. And I go, well, why don't you? And I went, whoa. So I went back from that trip and quit listing and selling real estate and just went after, I'm going to buy one home every month to flip. And I'm going to buy like 5 homes a year or duplexes, fourplexes, whatever, to keep. So I just totally, oh, and by the way, I'm also going to work no more than like 4 days a month. And I'm going to ski 100 days a year, spend a lot of time at the ocean, just spend time getting out and, kind of like the next incarnation of my life.
Right. Well, and it sounded like you fell into the sort of the mindset and the self-education through selling real estate, right? That was the sort of the why behind, okay, I need to sell more real estate to feed my family. And then through that, you've developed the more of the abundance mindset and say, well, hey, I've now created this awesome passive income for myself. I'm just going to forget about selling real estate. Let's focus on actually acquiring assets and developing long-term wealth. Correct. Please correct me if I'm wrong in any of this sort of summary. And that's going to lead us into then the mission statement behind, because it clearly sounds like you were empowered from your trip to Belize to want to teach other people about this, right? And this is where we're going to, I think you know where I'm headed with this, but talk to me about how that mission statement evolved into working 4 days a month, skiing 100 days a year and teaching other people how to do the same thing.
Actually, the teaching other people how to do the same thing, I did that on a small scale all along. And by the way, while you're quote getting somewhere in life, it's good to give back. Right. Back when I was 27 years old, I was going into junior highs, talking to young kids about in high schools about just getting out and finding out what you want to do with your life. My dad was a teacher, so I've always had this, want to help bring others along with me.
Hey man, we come from the same cloth. My parents are both teachers as well. My dad was a deputy dog at my high school. I couldn't step out of line because he was the deputy principal.
Exactly.
But sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No worries, man. So I kind of in my mind have had kind of the lovable loser till 25, and then 25 to 40, the making it and putting it to work for me, and then from 40 to 50. I was a ski bum and did other, dabbled in making money and dabbled in helping others. But basically, my mom called it my walking in the woods phase. And she said, honey, when are you going to quit this walking in the woods phase? And I was like, I don't know, but I'm really enjoying it right now. And I just have always had a love for the mountains and outdoors and stuff. And I find I get my best ideas with my heart rate elevated climbing a mountain or skiing down something. So it's just good for me to get out and, the book, The E-Myth, talks about working on your business instead of in your business. I wanted to work on my life rather than being in my life. So tunnel vision that you never look at what is this magnificent life I'm supposed to live. So around 50 years old, I look up and I'm skiing my 7th powder day in a row. And a buddy goes on the chairlift, dude, I could do this every day, man. And it was like he punched me in the face. Is my buddy Chris Lockhead, awesome podcast called Legends and Losers. And it was like he punched me in the face. And I was like, you know what? I can't. And it was kind of like, you selfish bastard. How dare you? You've created your magnificent life. You're living an abundant life here. And so many of your friends are hurting. So many people have never gotten this knowledge that you've been blessed to live. What if you helped the masses dream, plan, and create their best life possible? And that led to creating One Life Fully Lived, and also helping to create GoBundance. One Life Fully Lived is a nonprofit that helps people from all walks of life. Our motto is Dream It, Plan It, Live It. GoBundance is a mastery of all of this. We're healthy, wealthy, generous men who choose to lead epic lives. So through these two masterminds, and that's one piece I didn't touch on, is back when I was 25 years old, I was in my first mastermind group with others, and I've always been a part of these groups, and that's how One Life came along, and that's how GoBundance came along.
Love it. I think it's quite powerful when I could feel it in the tingling down my spine that you're out there skiing this powder, because I'm a huge skier, love skiing, and your buddy's yelling out to you, I could do this for the rest of your life, and you said, you prick, you get off your ass, you son of a gun, and go and teach some people. That's really, and that's, as you said, a smack in the face to you, and you didn't hit that until you're 50, which is incredible, because you've obviously had an incredible life leading up to that point, and now it's about empowering others. So let's talk about if I walked into the restaurant that was GoBundance or your other non-profit, walk me through the menu options of I'm a layman, I don't know anything about real estate. I want to change my life. I want to be like you. I want to be Tim Rhode. I want to be able to ski and surf and snorkel in Belize. How do I go about doing it? What's the steps? And we can get into your ABCs now, I think, because that's where we're going with this. But from a menu, if I was to look at your menu, what could I buy? What things aren't on the menu that I may not know about? Because the fact is, you may have some secret, mentoring or something like that. But just give me the whole thing in terms of the business.
Sure. So One Life Fully Lived is a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We have 2 conferences a year. And one is coming up in Sacramento, California, October 21st and 22nd of 2017. Our conferences are dirt cheap. It costs right now to sign up $275 for 2 full days.
Wow.
It's an amazing ecosystem of people at all levels of mastery, some just starting out, some on their way, some well on their way, and some at a mastery level of the things that we think matter. So there's a lot of people there in their 20s who are already either financially free or well on their way, mostly through real estate. So both of the entities, GoBundance and One Life Fully Lived, have real estate investing as a backdrop. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I would do is check into our conferences, and we'd love to see you in Sacramento. The other one's in Philadelphia. Around June of 2018. We're just finalizing dates for that right now. So we have 2 One Life Fully Lived conferences a year. They're dirt cheap. We feed you free lunch. There's nobody upselling anything. It's just a bunch of great people giving back that care about humanity. We have a lot of sessions on investing, entrepreneurship, health and wellness, and just living one life fully lived. You walk out of there with an action plan. You walk out of there with new contacts. It's a tremendous value. It should be, $2,500. It's at the door $395. So
wow,
yeah.
That's incredible.
So that's One Life Fully Lived. As I said before, GoBundance is a mastery level of this. You have to be at least a millionaire, it's a tribe. We go on trips all over the world. We have gatherings. We have incredible things that we do. And if you want more information on that, you can check it out at GoBundance.com.
Awesome stuff. So I come to one of your events. I'm a newbie. I don't know what I'm doing. I want to live, one life fully lived, and I want to live the dream. How do I take what I learn in your conferences and then apply it in my everyday life? And what systems that does One Life Fully Lived support these people once they leave the conference? Because, you and I have both been to many conferences. You obviously run them, and they're great. They're great energy building, and you get so pumped, and you're really going to go crush it in the world. But then you leave, and you're like, oh, and you feel dejected, and you're like, okay, what's next? Like, what's there to support me? So what other support networks do you have that you've created around One Life Fully Lived to help the people take that next step and maybe buy their first property or flip their first house or invest in that one passive vehicle that will start bringing them that, financial or start leading them towards financial freedom?
So first of all, we have a program called My One Life Roadmap. It's the class you wish you had in school. It teaches you all the basics of what I did to go from zero to hero. And the classes are: who am I at my core? What's my dream? What's my written plan? How will I fund it? And how will I be healthy enough to pull it off? So that's and by the way, you don't have to come to the conference to buy that. We have a do-it-yourself course, costs $97. It's ridiculously low. We also have a community on Facebook called the One Life Community. If you're listening to this, please go join the community right now. Don't have to go to one of our conferences to be a part of that. But in there, we have a lot of what we call one-lifers, people from all walks of life, all helping each other take our lives to another level. And what's really cool about us is, Reed, I can tell you're in good physical health. I know from you doing this podcast, you're way into your financial future, but I'll bet there's some things you're working on right now.
Sure, we always.
And all the areas of balance where you may be a little short on the balance wheel in one particular area. We have masters in our community in that area. And maybe the masters in our community in that area aren't that good on wellness or aren't that good on financial freedom. And that's what's really cool is while you're teaching this, you're learning this. And it's a I said before, a unique ecosystem. I look at it as almost like a counterculture of people that are trying to master their lives. So what comes out of it is new connections, mastermind, a small mastermind group that will form and has formed with many people. I just can't tell you how many people in our community, when they first came in, maybe were good in one area and now just have this rich, full life in all areas because they've been exposed to new thinking.
That's incredible. And I think you hit the nail on the head where you said ecosystem. It's not about one thing in your life. It's not about taking those investments and making a shit ton of money, excuse my language. It's about being well balanced across, family, mental health, physical health, giving back to the community. And I think that's really important as entrepreneurs. Sometimes we're really laser focused on creating financial freedom, and that's all we want to do. We're not going to do anything else until I create financial freedom. I quit my day job, and then we're done. But then you get there, and you're like, wait, hang on. As you're snorkeling in Belize and skiing on the slopes in Utah, I imagine. But you needed to give more, and that's where you had one of your, as you said, in your wheel, it was maybe deficient, right? So you'd achieve something on one side of the wheel, but on the other side of the wheel, you're really deficient, and you needed to empower other people and give back. So that's absolutely incredible. Let's talk a little bit about your ABCs. I want to dive into that, get into the nuts and bolts of what you teach and financial literacy, because that's so important in today's world, particularly in today's economy. We so many people are subscribed to the fact that I'm going to have a job. The old way of thinking was I've subscribed to the fact that I'm going to have a job for 50 years or 30 years, and I'm not going to, I'm going to get a pension and blah, blah, blah. And the government's going to support me and blah, blah. That's gone. That's well and truly gone. We're talking about globalization and all this sort of stuff. So how do we become more financially literate with the ABCs to get us ahead in life, to change our mindset of what we were taught in school? Because as you know, you didn't like the chemistry textbook.
No, I did not. So there's so many different ways to go with this. My mind's just racing on.
Right, I can tell.
Just all the different things. But let's first start with the concept of what you said is the old ways are dead. The old way was I'm going to get a job and I'm going to work hard and hopefully the boss gives me a raise. My finger's going up because that's vertical income. That's one paycheck that you hope is bigger. In our community of One Life Fully Lived and GoBundance, we believe in horizontal income. We want a lot of paychecks. Okay. David Osborne wrote an incredible book called Wealth Can't Wait. He has over 200 paychecks coming in every month.
Wow.
I have over 30 paychecks. In GoBundance, we want to be what we call 100%ers. Reed, are you familiar with Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game?
Yes, of course I am. That's what got me started all those years ago. Oh, the old cash flow quadrant.
Well, Kiyosaki's a good friend of One Life, good friend of GoBundance. Actually, he's doing a workshop for us next year because he loves what we're doing so much for nothing. So. So in the object of cash flow, and if you guys don't know this game, get it. It changed my life. The object of cash flow is to have your passive income become more than what it costs you to live. And as soon as you get to that place, you get to turn your game board over. We think of turning your life's game board over. And when I was 40, that's exactly what I did. I turned over my cash flow life game and started a whole new incarnation. You guys, what would your incarnation be? Just think about that. If you could do anything you want to do with the rest of your life, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what would you do? That's what gets you up early every day with purpose and passion towards getting more income streams. And some of you may be thinking, gosh, I can't do this. I don't have $100,000 to invest. I did a note last week with somebody who wanted to start their own business for $14,500. Okay.
Wow.
I loaned them $13,500. I charged $1,000 loan fee. Okay. And it's at 15% fully amortized over 3 years. And the guy's he doesn't have a really high credit score because he went through a divorce 3 years ago, but he pledged his automobile, his work truck, and his trailer as collateral for it because I make sure I have a signed note with collateral because if something goes wrong, I'm going to come grab those things. And I'm gonna, maybe I get 8,000 for them. But the point is it's easier to get in the game than what you think. And everybody wants to get rich quick and hit home runs. No, that's not how this is done. Singles and doubles and just small hits here and there to where you've got a new income stream coming. Imagine you did that note and all of a sudden you take out 13,500 and you got 400 a month coming in. Okay.
Right.
So what could you do today to just start on all of this? Just get started, you guys. Fail forward.
I love it. I love exactly what you're saying about starting to, and you touched on a little bit, but changing people's mindsets is the biggest thing. And I think that's what One Life Fully Lived really is essence for what I'm trying to extract from you, is that it's changing your mindset about the way you think about creating income, correct? And it's not about, as you say, everyone's wanting to do that home run, they're smacking it out of the park, but it's actually about getting those base hits, loading your bases and keeping them loaded, because the fact is they're going to be consistent for you for a longer period of time, rather than going out and trying to make $1 million in one go, right? In one flip or one deal. So,
and I just want to say one thing about that, and then we can get back to the investing piece. But and it's also about getting up an hour earlier and doing your miracle morning. Shout out to Hal Elrod, and to eat right and exercise and work on quality relationships. You can't roll down the wheel of life. You can't roll down the road of life with a broken wheel. Right. If you're merely focusing on your career and financial freedom, and you have other big holes, you're not having a good relationship with your wife, maybe where do you have leakage in your life that you need to touch on? Maybe it's a really bad habit you need to drop. But, right. Something along those lines that may be sabotaging the whole picture. And that's the essence of One Life Fully Lived, is that whole magnificent future you're trying to create. However, the financial piece is the backbone of it. And those financial ABCs, knowing what's coming in, what's going out, what's left to invest, mastering your investing and getting started is a big piece of that.
Right. Talk to me about that, the different types of multiple income streams that someone today listening to this show could start, not going out and doing it, but could start changing their mindset about a particular way of earning income. So maybe just walk through the different income streams that you've created, because that will be an example, a real life example of how you're going out and getting it done, right? And you don't need hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to start investing.
The first thought is it's not what you make, but what you do with what you make that'll make a difference in the long run. Okay, so it's about making sure you're thinking of creating income on the side and just having little nugs coming in from here and there. My first investment, I looked in our local newspaper and it said absolute steal, mobile home valued at 40. You can either buy it for 20 grand or we'll finance it at 28,000. I'm still the part-time grocery clerk. I go to Merv King, our store, grocery manager, and he loans me the 20 grand. Why not be the Merv King in this conversation? But so here I am. I'm a 25-year-old grocery clerk, and Merv loans me $20,000. I buy that mobile home. I live in it for a year. And then I go buy my first single family and I rent the mobile home out for 3 or 4 years and make positive income off it. And then I kept that single family and moved a block away and bought another single family a year later and kept that rental behind me. So it's just kind of like these baby steps, get rich slow. And so I look up and I'm, now 28 years old and I got those 3 properties. And then the night the 49ers won their first Super Bowl in 1981. Boy, am I dating myself. I see I'm reading in the Chronicle, San Francisco Chronicle in the middle of the night, and I saw a property in Stockton, California for $35,000. Owner will finance with 0 down. I go see it and I bought it and sold it a year later for 48. And I'm just being a student of the game, and I'm just looking at stuff. And this was before I was ever in real estate. And then I got into real estate, which, by the way, why not? If you've got an outgoing personality like myself, go list and sell real estate. It worked really well for me. I'm in Manteca, California. Anyway, I won't go there. I'm in the middle of the Central Valley of California, and I'm listing and selling a lot of real estate. I'm learning the market. I'm seeing where to invest. And over the years, boy, did that serve me well. And I'm just buying a property here, a property there, taking back a note, and just focusing on learning the game. I'm reading books like Richest Man in Babylon. I've read that book 20 times. Yeah. I've mastered. I know the principles in that book. I read The Millionaire Next Door to learn better how to play defense. I read Think and Grow Rich and all the classics, you guys. Read, you read, you learn. I took Johnny Vieira, an investor in my town. I bought him breakfast. He owned 250 rentals. Hey, Johnny, if you were 25 years old and just starting investing today, what would you do? Who's the Johnny Vieira in your town that you should be buying lunch today?
Interesting stuff. It's about, I love the underlying fact that you're creating these masterminds, you're empowering people to go out and take action, but by doing it as a bit of a team sport, because people can get overwhelmed with I don't want to get started. I don't know where to get started. And it's using platforms like One Life Fully Lived or GoBundance, if you're at that level, to create those masteries to then go out and feed off one another. Because at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur, as you know, can be a little bit lonely, and having those groups that you can rely on, you can go to say, hey, I need advice. I need to do something. I need to get another deal done. Your network is directly proportionate to your net worth. And I think what you're essentially trying to do is create a better network for people, create an atmosphere, create a community, create, that juju, as I like to say, that juice inside of you to go out and then collaborate with other people and get it done. So absolutely, fantastic what you're doing.
And you know what's come with that, Reed, is well, I'll go back to the ecosystem. There's all these people who are models for what can be done. Right. And there's a kid named Matt Aitchison in there. He's got a Millionaire Mindcast. He's somebody you should have on and be on his. Matt's got 5 different businesses with told me the other day he's got, I think, 10 flippers going right now. And he's 28 years old. He's a multimillionaire. He could literally retire today. There's a kid named, two brothers, Diego and Gonzalo Corzo. Diego came 4 years ago. Gonzalo came 2 years ago. Diego's probably 27 years old. He's probably got 12 income streams coming in. Gonzalo I think he's 20 and's got 4 different businesses and 6 income streams, and they're amazing. And so when you come to something like this and you spend 2 days with these people and you don't sleep, by the way, you're up all night. Everybody's just together and yeah, it's just an amazing atmosphere. And that's where you learn. You see other models of what can be. And then you see these people, they're everyday people. Come on, look at me. Am I anything special? You see these people just living extraordinary lives that they've created, and it inspires you to do more.
Fantastic. Tim, I want to talk a little bit about now moving on to being efficient, being effective, and being productive in your business, in your ecosystem. So do you want to hit on some of the systems that you're creating or have taught people to create to be more efficient when they're first starting out?
Yeah, that's a great thing. I called it EAP, efficient, effective, productive. How can you cut the crap and just be, as effective as you can possibly be? So like when 2 things come to mind. When I wanted to transfer from listing and selling real estate to investing in real estate, I wrote a plan called Tim is Now an Investor Plan. And it laid out the outcome, the purpose, the action plan, where am I going to get my money? Where am I going to find the deals? How am I going to grow this? So all about making a plan for how you're going to do it. And then what's my sources and systems as far as being, how am I going to find the deals and how am I going to, how am I going to maximize the opportunities? It was almost like fishing lines in the water. And I built up like 13 different ways to find deals. And then I just worked those systems. By the way, tim@timrhode.com. I'd be happy to send you Tim is Now an Investor Plan, my sources and systems, or any other questions you have. Feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, I think in general, developing your systems is really the linchpin of creating a successful business. And I was never a systems man for a long, long time. I'm an engineer. That's my background, but like I've got a math brain. However, creating a system or an ecosystem around the fact that I may not be able to be good at doing one thing and I need to outsource that to get it done because I need it to part of my business, but I don't necessarily need to be working on it, slaving away when I don't enjoy it. For example, writing my book right now. It's been very, very tough. I'm not a writer. I'm more about going out and getting deals done. And so I'm now farming some of that stuff out because I want to be able to still achieve that. However, I can achieve it in a different way. Maybe it's through recording my voice and getting it, transcribed, something like that. And those are the types of systems that I'm setting up to help me be more effective and more productive rather than just being active, because being active can sometimes not actually get you anywhere and not move the needle, right?
Yeah. And it's a matter of also not only putting sources and systems in, but as you're growing it, just as you said, you're outsourcing the things that you don't like. When I was listing and selling real estate and also investing, the things that I wasn't good at, I was really good at delegating. Mm-hmm. And I think I wasn't cursed with the thought process of nobody can do it better. I was blessed with the thought process of I'm going to do what I love to do, prospect, talk to people, find deals, things that dollar productive activity. And then I've never held a hammer on a house in my life. I'm the biggest male klutz you'll ever meet. Why would I go do that?
Right. It's not your skill. It's not your passion. It's not your skill set. So farm that stuff out. So talk to me just, I know I want to be conscious of your time, but I do want to quickly touch on getting over the fear of prospecting. You just hit on that just briefly just then. And I wanted to talk really about fear in general of getting started. So, but when you're really good. You're an outgoing guy. You're really good at like maybe jumping on the phone and prospecting. For those people who aren't as outgoing, how do you get them to get over the fear of their own shadow to get out and actually do stuff and take action?
It's a matter of having your dream so vivid and just having, where am I going with all of this, so powerful that it'll make you do the things you don't want to do. We all have the committee in our head. And every single day when I went to make my calls, the scared child in my head would say, please don't make me call. Please don't make me call. And the fierce warrior who wanted those hopes and dreams would say, shut that, and I'll go with heck up. Shut the heck up and make those calls, because I really want what I want. And two things. I had something over my desk that said, step right up and risk rejection. And that was my mindset. Because I wanted what I wanted so bad. And I had a game with myself. And this is back when I was listing and selling real estate, but you could do the same thing for investing. If I had 3 listing appointments in a day, I didn't have to prospect. If I had 2 listings, I prospected for an hour. If I had 1 listing appointment, I didn't have to, I'd prospect 2 hours. So I had my time spent from 9 o'clock till noon o'clock. Till noon was all about prospecting. Don't bother me about anything else going on during that time, because that's my dialing for dollars money.
Right.
So.
And I think you hit on one really important thing there, which was carving out portions of your day and saying, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours on prospecting. I'm going to spend 2 hours on writing a blog. I'm going to spend 2 hours on creating content. I'm going to spend 2 hours or whatever. And I'm very good at that. I was very good at, I remember studying at university and I had 4 different subjects I had to study for. After 2 hours, draw the line. You're done with that. You got to get on, you come back to it the next day, and you slowly build on that each and every day. And if you keep doing those systems of 2 hours, 2 hours, or 4 hours, 4 hours, or whatever it might be, i.e. insert, prospecting or going out and moving the needle, getting deals done, that will slowly over time start progressing you towards that goal of getting your first deal done or creating financial freedom. And I'm a huge proponent of setting those little steps to get to the big goal, because we sometimes get, as you said, there's this chatter in our head that sort of says, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to get, no. But it's actually about getting out of your chatter and having a goal to get there, but understanding the little steps that you need to get to that goal. Because if you don't understand those little steps, you're just going to think, oh my gosh, that's a pond too far to jump, and I'm never going to get started. I'm going to sit on my hands for the next 24 years and going to wake up with regret. And that's probably one of the things that, as you can see, I'm passionate about is I fear regret. I feel that I don't want to wake up when I'm 70 and be like, I wish I'd done something different in my life. And for me, my driving force when I get right now at 31 years of age is I don't want regret. I want to be able to lift every stone and, make sure that I can look back and say, I didn't leave any stone unturned. So it's a really, really awesome stuff. I want to just wrap up the show with the summary of your ABCs, because I know we briefly touched on it at the beginning of the show, but we didn't really dive into it. So let's dive into it. Let's get really clear on this ABCs for financial literacy, and then we'll wrap it up with our quick fire round, the top 5 investing tips. How's that sound?
Sounds great, Reed. Hey, first of all, you're 31 years old. I'm 50, almost 58. See this gray hair? My line is, when you're 31 years old or 22 or 38, you're either going to hug yourself or curse yourself when you reach, I'm almost 60, for the financial and health choices you make when you're younger. 100%. So choose wisely. Yeah, no regret. Absolutely spot on there. So yeah, just to go deeper into the ABCs, the A is, there's if you're in a career now, there's your vertical paycheck, but it's not what you make, it's what you do with what you make. Think about the horizontal income. Think about multiple streams of income. How can you get a new stream of income this year? How can you get 2 more next year? How could you get 4 more the following year? Be thinking about offense. How can I make more money? Okay. And then B, what's going out? What budgeting technique am I looking at to where I know what's going in, what's going out, what's left to invest? Where is my leakage? Where am I wasting money that I may be able to take that extra money and invest it for me, because we all know the power of compounding. And then C, the investing piece, how can I get started, or increase what you're doing for those already on their way, and how can I what books, new contacts, mastermind, what can I do to really take this to another level? And a good place to start is our One Life Fully Lived conference, October 21st and 22nd, Sacramento, California.
Awesome stuff. Well, I want to quickly just summarize that, because there's a lot of really valuable nuggets of gold there. So the A is getting your mindset out of the vertical element of a paycheck, hoping and crossing your fingers that your boss is going to give you a pay rise every year for the next 50 years of your life. Great. But if you don't have that job anymore, you're not going to have an income. So starting to think about the horizontal income streams. And I think what you were trying to say is, if you have a skill maybe that you can help other people. I know my fiance, she's got her day job, but she also does interior design on the side, and she gets extra income from that. And that there is, again, another form of income. Yes, she's got to hustle a little bit more, but that she can then use that money to, as we work down to B and C, to invest in something which will create her passive income. And then I think the B is really, really important. Obviously, getting really, really clear on what your outgoings are, because, and as you said, where's the leak, if there is a leak, right? And then the C is understanding how you can use that excess capital to go out and create passive income. I think that's. Did I leave anything out?
No, that's spot on. And it's all about, in my mind, is getting somewhere,
right?
Getting to, I don't know when your number is where you're hoping to be, totally out of turn your cash flow board game over. But that, to me, that's getting somewhere. Is having the choices to do what you get to do for the rest of your life.
I think that's incredible. Having the choice is what you're going to do with the rest of your life. Go out and ski, go out and do what you love. And it goes back to the why. And I briefly want to touch on this before we wrap up the show, is the why behind everyone's, we talk about creating that number, getting to that goal, getting to that financial freedom, but then what happens after that? So briefly tell me how you've helped people really establish that why, to then move past that flipping the board over and then going, okay, now what's next?
Yeah, I think I touched on earlier how much I like to get out in the boonies, and that's where I do my dreaming. Where do you do your dreaming? Is it with a good bottle of wine out on the back porch? I don't know what works for you. Is it a walk with your spouse? Is it on a cruise in the Bahamas, to where you plan the rest of it? But it's if you look at the book, The E-Myth, it's working on your business, not in your business. This is the business of your life, and developing that huge purpose that gets you out of bed doing the things you don't want to do every single day, because your why is so powerful. And just really quick read, back in 1997, I wrote my dream. And in my dream, I'd be living in the mountains looking at a spectacular view. And I wish you could see what I'm doing. And those 4 things we talked about at the start of the call: taking care of my family, getting the goods in the woods, investing wisely, and giving back to humanity. Those were my why, and you can tell I'm really clear on it. And I've been able to create my magnificent future, and that's my hope for all of you listening, is that you get your one life fully lived.
Love it, man. I love it. You're a really, truly inspirational guy. I want to quickly wrap up the show with a top 5 investing tips. It's a quick fire round. It's 5 questions that I ask all my guests. They're pretty straightforward, but I want to get your top 5 investing tips. You ready to dive into it?
Sure.
Mate, what is the daily habit you practice to keep on track towards your goals?
Getting up early every morning and going through my miracle morning, and laying out what are the 3 or 4 things I need to get done today. Who do I need to talk today? And then crossing off that list. I think it's very empowering to make a to-do list and knock it out.
Yeah, 100%. Journaling and to-do lists are something big that I've discovered in the last couple of years, and it helps you get back to what we were talking before about the chatter in your head. Out of your head onto paper, and just like, I've got to do this thing. This is the to-do list. It's written down. If it's written on my piece of paper, I've got to do it, right? So it helps you force to get to that next step. Tim, who has been the most influential person in your career to date?
Boy, many come to mind. My buddy David Osborne that wrote the book Wealth Can't Wait. But our mentor, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Fred Gross, Grosse, wrote an incredible book called Black Belt of the Mind. And a lot of the stuff I've been talking about here came from Dr. Fred. And he's a great man. He's in his 80s now, and I just love him.
Black Belt of the Mind.
Black Belt of the Mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to get that book. It sounds interesting. You clearly have a massive business. I know you'd have to have an influential tool in that business, whether it be a software, whether it be a mobile phone, whether it be a person. But what is the most influential tool in your business now?
You know, it sounds simple, but a form called displayed thinking. All of us, you know, like on a to-do list, write lineal. But whenever I have a project or you know, something I want to do, I love this displayed thinking. It just allows me to kind of look at what's my outcome, what's my purpose, what's my action plan, who do I need to call, what do I need to do. It just kind of allows me to lay it all out, and my mind works very well visually. It's a nice tool for me.
Nice. Second to last question. It's one of the biggest questions of the entire show, I think, and it is, what's been the biggest failure in your career to date? And it could be both personally or professionally, that you've learned the most from looking back at where you sit now, you know, in the mountains, overlooking probably some incredible scenery, I could imagine, and where you sit right now on your pedestal.
You know, there's some properties that I had in escrow and didn't close on for some reason or another. I owned a property that was on the freeway, and the person after me put a billboard on it, and you know, stuff like that. But the biggest thing I think I went through that was toughest was I went through a divorce early in my career,
right?
And my thought process, and I'm coming up this weekend's my 25th wedding anniversary with my wife.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. But the first marriage, she'd say the same thing. We're good friends now, but we didn't marry the right person. And my line is, till death do you part is a long time, choose wisely. So.
Love it. I love it. Did it have anything to do, and I don't want to get private, the whole entrepreneurial, because there's always like, I've got a man crush on Elon Musk, but you know, Elon has been through 3 marriages, and you know, you got to sort of choose, and I'm about to get married actually in 2 weeks time, so I'm very, very excited. But the whole, that going back to what you said before, and having the wheel of life, and you can't just have your investing wheel, because it won't actually be a wheel, it's just one portion of it, and having other parts of your wheel all full, and so you can roll down the road of life. So was it a conscious decision to not be as focused on just one thing of making money and being an entrepreneur and blah, 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 to then be more encompassing of entire full life, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I think it's a matter of my wife's had been married before also. Right. And we both came into this marriage with a lot more of an open mind and a lot more of a, I'm going to make sure I hold up my end rather than looking at what she can bring to me.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm just really blessed. I think I just married an incredible lady.
Man, well, congratulations to you. And you know, 25 years, that is absolutely incredible. So well done. Big follow-up. We've already talked about, you know, where we can reach you, but just let's summarize a little bit again of where can people reach you to continue the conversation. We talked about your conferences, but just one more time, your email, your web address, and anything else that you want them to know.
Yeah, so you can reach me personally at tim@timrhode, RHODE.com. Please go to onelifefullylive.org. Sign up for our SAC conference. It's really reasonable. And also, if you're at a mastery level of all of this, please go to GoBundance.com and see what we have to offer there.
Well, Tim, I really thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to jump on this show. One of the biggest thing, the takeaway that I love from this show is getting the goods in the woods. I think that's a fantastic, cracking saying, and I'm going to keep saying it, getting the goods in the woods. Love it. But
Dude,
mate,
you got to come up to Tahoe this winter, and you and I are going to get the goods in the woods.
I'll take you up on that for sure. But mate, I really do want to thank you for taking some time out of your day, talking about the ABCs, talking about, you know, getting out of your own the chatter in your head, talking about, just having the getting away from the vertical income to the horizontal income, which I think was really, really important, and just laying out that whole mindset to create a really fulfilled life and not just focus on that one piece of financial freedom. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch up soon.